What's going on, guys? It is your boy Anthony Perry back with another edition of Perry's Points. I know it's been a couple of weeks. There's just been some stuff going on. I have a lot of school that's been really taking up a lot of time. But now that I've pretty much knocked out my midterms, pretty much knocked out all the important school stuff, it is finally time to get back to some Perry's Points. I'm really looking forward to the show today. Won't be too long. It'll only be about half an hour show, maybe 40 minutes. Kind of depends on the direction in which we'll go. But I will say right now that the main direction of today's episode will be all about the NFL draft. This is basically the midday NFL draft pregame for tomorrow. It's going to be really exciting, guys. I mean, it feels like the speculation all afternoon today, yesterday, the day before, basically all week has just been all about Trey Lance, all about Justin Fields, all about Mac Jones. Even been seeing some people sneak in some reported Kyle Pitts rumors being taken at number 3, which I don't buy one bit. But the bottom line is that there has been plenty of quarterback talk going around the past week. It seems like that now that the odds have really been determined that it's either going to be Mac Jones or Trey Lance, reportedly, it seems that a lot of the fan base has narrowed their minds down to Trey Lance, which is the right thing to do, kind of the right player to pick given the situation. And I won't say that I don't believe it won't be Justin Fields. And here's the thing is that I try really hard not to just reverb and go off of what all the national media members have been saying, because throughout this entire process, none of us have really known what's been going on with the 49ers. No one has truly known what the Niners think in terms of who they're going to take in quarterback, other than Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, Adam Peters, Ethan Wow, those kind of guys. So we've seen all the speculation running rampant all throughout the offseason. And finally, today is NFL Draft Eve. We have one more day until tomorrow, going to be a ginormously big day. And it's just exciting to say the least. And I can't believe that we're finally here. It feels like the offseason has just been slugging along. There's some days when it's gone by really fast, and other days where it feels like it's just been a 48-hour day and a 24-hour day. But without further ado, guys, I want to talk quarterbacks right now. Let me know in the comments what you guys think who the quarterback pick is going to be. Let me know why. Let me know what else you think the 49ers are going to do, because in this show, again, we are going to be talking all NFL draft stuff, again, for about half an hour or so. So let's get right into it, guys. Obviously, the reports have been flying that it's going to be Lance, it's going to be Jones. We still think it's going to be Fields. And then, obviously, the trade happened. As Antonio Rosales says here, Jimmy G will be gone if Fields or Mac Jones gets drafted. If Trey Lance is the pick, Jimmy stays. You know, the thing is if you listen to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch in their presser this past Monday, a lot of things they were saying made it sound like that the rookie is going to be the day one starter, whoever that's going to be. There were plenty of references in which Kyle Shanahan referenced to the rookie as the starting quarterback, John Lynch as well. So I think regardless if it's Mac Jones, Fields, or Lance, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to say bye. And we just saw the trade happen today between Denver and Carolina, where the Denver Broncos just received Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th-round pick. And I guess that's fair value given how much money they were taking in for Bridgewater. I know both teams are kind of balancing the payment methods out, but the Carolina Panthers basically just received a 6th-round pick. So it's like, where can we really assess Jimmy Garoppolo's value? I've seen a lot of people saying that the Niners could possibly get a 1st-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. They could get a 2nd-round pick, maybe a 3rd and a 5th, something of that nature. And I don't know if I necessarily believe that the 49ers could get a 1st or 2nd-round pick from Garoppolo. And it's not that he isn't capable. When he's healthy, I think he's a top 15 quarterback. But there's a few factors I kind of want to get into in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is very scheme dependent. I think he needs a good offensive coordinator who really lean against and really just help open things up for himself. And that's not to say that Jimmy Garoppolo can't get the job done on his own, because we really haven't seen that. And we've seen him play pretty well with Bill Belichick, and that was only a couple of games. But we haven't seen Jimmy Garoppolo with an offensive coordinator that isn't Kyle Shanahan or Bill Belichick. So imagine Jimmy Garoppolo stepping to an offense with Matt Nagy or Ron Rivera in Washington, something like that. You don't really know what to expect out of Jimmy Garoppolo in an offense that I really don't think is quarterback friendly outside of Shanahan and Belichick. So I think he does have value. Let's see, Luke has far more value playing this year, trade next year. When the no trade clause expires, he'll be worth more picks. Yeah, I'm kind of teetering on that as well. If and when the Niners draft their rookie quarterback, whether that's Lance, Jones, or Fields, I'm all in on keeping Garoppolo on the roster just to have him compete. And who knows, maybe if the front office and maybe if Shanahan doesn't think the rookie is ready, then there's no reason to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. I think a lot of rookie quarterbacks these days, though, really just step in and ball out instantly. I mean, you look at Herbert, you look at Tua, you look at Baker, you look at Burrow, you look at all these guys, and it's like whether they were good or not their rookie seasons, the fact of the matter is that they can step in and come and play and exceed. Whether that's at a high level or not is to be determined. But we see that a lot of these rookie quarterbacks can step in and just play instantly. So there's part of me that thinks that, yeah, they could keep Garoppolo, but I think that really depends on if the rookie isn't ready. But this is Kyle Shanahan we're talking about, guys. We're talking about an offensive coordinator whose offense is extremely quarterback friendly. And if that's the case, then I expect any rookie quarterback to really step in and get the job done at or about the same level that Jimmy Garoppolo did when he was in his prime before the injury or even after the injury. So the job should be pretty easy for the rookie coming in, to say the least. It's just a matter of, is the value there, and is Jimmy Garoppolo willing to waive his no trade clause to begin with? You look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and if I'm him right now, I really don't want to get released outright because that's 20 plus million down the drain. At the least, I'm willing to waive my no trade clause to a team in order to at least get some money back. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo will get restructured to the new team he joins, so his cap hit isn't over $20 million. But I highly doubt that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to want to just try and get released. He's going to want to get to a team so he can get some of that money, because if Jimmy Garoppolo gets released, one, I don't know if he'll get picked up by a team where he will start instantly. And two, I don't think he'll get anywhere near the average value that he's getting on his contract now. I honestly think he'll probably get about 10 to 15 million. And that's not to complain. I mean, it's still a lot of money. But the fact of the matter is that I highly doubt Jimmy Garoppolo wants to lose out on 20 million. So I think he'll be looking to waive his no trade clause unless it's a really bad team. I mean, I can't really think of bad teams he can get traded to other than Chicago. I think Washington and New England would probably be his best situation, but who knows? I mean, anything can happen, really. Let's see, Thomas. All the talk of Trey and Max seems like a smokescreen to divert attention off of Fields. There have been 0 leaks in the past years, and now all of a sudden there's floods? Don't think so. Yeah, I really, someone put up a tweet earlier. I didn't see who it was from, but they were talking about how the Niners were linked to Nick Bosa and they were linked to McGlinchey weeks before the draft and in the Kinlaw and Buckner thing. And for that examples, I don't necessarily think that's leaks. I think that's just you kind of connect the dots and you look at what's going on and it's like, well, this would make the most sense. So of course they're going to do that. It's not like the Niners were planning on trading up to draft Quentin Nelson, for example. Like, no one would have known that. So instead they took Mike McGlinchey when they won the coin toss from the Raiders. So I agree, Thomas. I don't think they have any leaks at all. As for the smokescreen part, I don't know, man. I think that's really interesting to say the least. I've seen a lot of kind of funny conspiracy theories that the 49ers pushed interest off of Justin Fields because they don't want the Jets, who will likely be running a similar offensive scheme because of Mike LaFleur, who is with the Jets now as the OC, and Robert Saleh, will want a quarterback like Justin Fields, especially if Kyle Shanahan likes him a lot. And that's kind of something I don't tweet it too often, but that's in my heart. And I've said it before, but that's kind of something I've been banging the drum for a while about, is that I think there's a real possibility that the Jets could take Justin Fields. I know supposedly that I think Zach Wilson bought a home in New York, or his parents did, or something like that. I don't know how much of that to believe. But again, the matter is that if the Niners really like Justin Fields and are running the same offensive system, odds are the Jets front office is going to say, you know what, if Shanahan likes this and we're doing the same thing, I think we should go after Justin Fields as well. And that's not to knock Zach Wilson in any way. I think Zach Wilson is also a great quarterback in his own mind. But I think if you just look at how everything has been playing down, I really think that Justin Fields could be a legit option for the New York Jets at second overall. And if that's the case, if we're talking Zach Wilson, Trey Lance at the number 3 overall pick, I think that'll be a really big toss-up from there. But again, it's all conspiracy theories. It's all this kind of talk that it sounds like it makes sense, but you really just have to try and connect the dots as much as possible. Antonio, nobody suspected the Niners to draft Kinlaw or McGlinchey, so maybe that trend continues tomorrow. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that when you looked at – I really didn't expect Mike McGlinchey, honestly. I know that there were some reports leading up to it, but I didn't know for certain, honestly. And then the Kinlaw thing, I think a lot of people suspected Kinlaw to be the pick once Buckner got traded. Before that was the case, though, I mean, before the Buckner trade even got announced, no one would have known what the Niners were even going to do to begin with. So it's like they either could have re-signed Buckner and moved Armstead. Maybe I don't think they would have gotten the first round pick for Armstead, but since that's the case, it's just a big toss-up as to what the Niners are really going to do. I don't think a lot of people expected the Buckner move. I mean, you had someone like John Lynch go out and say that we want DeForest Buckner to be a 49er for life. And then a week or two later, he gets traded. So I really don't think the Niners – I don't know. I don't know. It's a big toss-up. I think the 49ers have a relatively good poker face when it comes to what's going on. But also I think that they can get a little rambunctious and reckless at times. And we saw that with John Lynch and I believe it was Jed York also when they re-signed Kyle Juszczyk, and they were all over Twitter being drunk and being happy and stuff. And that makes sense. I'd be excited too. But when you look at how that stuff kind of goes down, it's all I can say is that it's a really big toss-up, and we don't know what the Niners are going to do. We really don't. At first, when I saw Ian Rappaport tweet out the team has come down between Mac Jones and Trey Lance, that's when I thought like, well, I mean, the whole media narrative all offseason has been a big toss-up. We don't know what to believe. And quite frankly, I don't think we really should believe the national media up until the last day, which is today, or tomorrow leading up to the actual draft start time. It's hard to believe the entire offseason process has been playing out this way. But, I mean, we've shifted from Mac Jones to Justin Fields to Trey Lance, and they've all kind of corresponded to their pro days the following day. And it's like Mac Jones had his pro day. That wasn't that good. That wasn't that good at all. And then Justin Fields had his pro day, and that was just superb beyond belief. And from what you saw from Trey Lance's pro day, his pro day was really good as well. So, of course, all the good pro days and bad pro days will really drive the media narrative into whatever it is they're going to think. And, I like and I hate talking conspiracy theories because it takes a lot of time to really think them out. But going off this, I think a lot of the reason why Mac Jones has been speculated to the 49ers is not only just because of Kyle Shanahan's previous quarterbacks and kind of fitting what his mold used to be. I think that changes. But what they used to be, I think a lot of national media members really just bounce off of each other. And you look at like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, for example, it's like those two are always going at it in terms of who's going to break the news first. But the fact of the matter is that they are the two best national media members in the entire media. So, of course, they're going to believe each other. Then you have Mike Silver and Matt Mayoko and all these other high-end media guys who will follow those reports because the big guys are tweeting it. And next thing you know, it's just all the big guys are just believing in one another. And it really closes the door for true speculation and true opinion, where it's like if I'm a national media member and I see Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter saying this, of course, I'm going to think like, well, if they're saying it, then it must be true. I don't know. I really don't buy into stuff at all. I think this happens every draft year. And the thing, too, is that I don't think as Niners fans, we've really been put into this situation for so long because we've never been in this position to come up and take a quarterback. And I'm sure this happens with teams all the time. But now that it's happening to us, it's like, wow, okay, this is a really weird process to say the least. Thomas, so do you take Lance or Wilson if Jets take Fields? If Jets take Fields, Thomas, I am very well noted that I really like Trey Lance a lot. I really like Trey Lance's pro-style history. I really like his character, his charisma. One thing I was talking to someone about was that Trey Lance reminds me a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo in the sense of his personality. I really think Trey Lance really has this personality where everyone just kind of naturally comes to him. I think he's an outspoken leader. He's very charismatic. He's very vocal on the field, just like Jimmy Garoppolo is. They're both kind of technicians in that way. And again, it seems like Trey Lance just has this energy to him that brings his teammates in. And that's all that's been talked about this offseason. And especially this past week is that he went on the news, or he went on a bunch of podcasts and stuff talking about how excited he is and really just how much energy and effort he brings to the field. And we've heard his coaches talk about it. We've heard scouts and reported NFL executives talk about Trey Lance's character and charisma. And really that's one of the big things that wins me over is that you look at everything outside of his talent and his physical ability. Trey Lance just absolutely kicks ass in terms of the off-field thing. And you look at Mac Jones, and it's like Mac Jones has the DUI, Mac Jones has the no Obama thing, Mac Jones has the alcohol videos or wherever when he's partying and stuff. And it's like you look at these things, whether that video happened before or after. I get he's a kid and I get he's still young. But it's like, dude, you're stepping into a multi-billion-dollar NFL organization with whatever team that's going to draft him. And if you're drafting him, that's the last image you want to put out representing your team. Like if I'm John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and Jed York, and I'm going, you know what? It's cool. Mac Jones is on video partying and being racist and stuff, but you know what? It's okay because he's a good quarterback. I don't buy into that. I really think that kind of just pushed him off of the whole Mac Jones concept. And I think at the end of the day, all along too, I think it's there we go. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me now. Um, Anyways, back to what I was saying though. Thomas, the reason why I don't like Zach Wilson too much. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. The sound is back. I swear the sound is back. Um, the reason why I like Zach Wilson, or I don't like Zach Wilson as much as Trey Lance, is that in BYU's offense, I think they're a little too scheme dependent on what the wide receivers do. They were a lot of very specific route concepts, a lot of shallow crosses, a lot of check downs, a lot of hitches, corners, a lot of wheel routes as well. There was really nothing on Zach Wilson's heat chart that signified him throwing to the middle of the field a lot, something that Kyle Shanahan, we know, absolutely loves. And that's the part of me that thinks that the pick could be Justin Fields as well, is that Justin Fields' heat chart was just all over the field, which is a really good thing. But Justin Fields dominated the center of the field. And that's a lot of the reason why early on the speculation is that it was Fields, is because that's exactly what Shanahan likes, is throws to the middle of the field. That's really what it's a chain moving offense, you guys. And that's just how you open up things for your yak guys like Ayuk, like Debo and Kittle. And that's just where Fields feasts, is in the middle of the field. And that's not to say Lance can't do that either. I think Lance's arm talent is superb enough to hit all levels of the field, anywhere on the field. It's just the accuracy thing is a slight concern. The mechanics are a slight concern, but that's all coachable. I think that's all very, very coachable. And it's a little interesting, too, that Trey Lance was asked by the 49ers, or however that worked out, to go see John Beck, who's Kyle Shanahan's right-hand quarterback man, a few weeks before the NFL draft. I don't know if that was something to confirm, like, hey, John, let me know if what you see is what you like. Let me know if what you're seeing out of Lance is exactly what we want, because then we'll be interested. Or is it, hey, John, you know what? We do like Lance, but we think that what's going on with him mechanically, we don't want that. We want something that is already complete. And I do think that's Justin Fields. And look, I know that it's very counterintuitive to say that I want Trey Lance, even though he's not the complete product, over Justin Fields. But I think what really gets me bought into Trey Lance is, again, just the high projection for him, the high floor as well, the pro style offense, his history, his responsibility in that offense, and just what he offers in terms of physical ability and mental ability. And I'm not saying that Justin Fields isn't smart also. I mean, Justin Fields could have been a Harvard student if he wanted, but he decided to stick with football and go to Ohio State. But I think that you look at the offensive concept that Ohio runs, where it's a lot of the receivers running choice routes, and it's a lot of Justin Fields waiting for the first thing to open up. I get that you can't really knock someone for executing the offense the way he did, but I don't necessarily think OSU's offense ties into the concepts of what Kyle Shanahan does compared to North Dakota State. And that's why I give Trey Lance the edge over Justin Fields, is because you have Trey Lance stepping in, and he'll really understand. I think he'll really just understand the offensive concepts that Kyle Shanahan is going to want to implement. And again, that's not to say Justin Fields can't do the same thing as well, but I think Trey Lance just has that edge. Antonio. Trey Lance has the least questions surrounding him. Lawrence seems to have less passion for football. Mac Jones has DUIs and Fields has epilepsy. So I'm not going to go on record now and say I'm a medical professional, because I'm not. But I really don't think the Fields epilepsy thing is that big of a deal. It's just something that teams need to monitor and need to understand. There's been plenty of NFL players who have gone on to say they have epilepsy and have made the Hall of Fame, like Alan Faneca, for example. He's the biggest example. So I don't necessarily think the epilepsy is a like knock on Fields,
but that will still scare NFL teams. I really think so. You will get that one or two group of NFL teams who will overthink and say, you know what, we're picking high. I know we need a quarterback, but can we take a risk on that? Even if it's going to be fine. There's just some teams that play scared and play the whole entire process scared. And that's why you have teams like the 49ers who make such an aggressive move to pick 3, because they're willing to risk and take the risk on whatever it is or whoever it is they're going to take. And you look at all the quarterbacks, you look at everything that's wrong with them. You look at Justin Fields, where, okay, maybe the epilepsy is a problem, but you also look at Justin Fields as a player and you see that one read offense where he relied on the first guy to open up and the second is a little bit scary. That might concern teams. You look at Mac Jones, where I think Mac Jones is a very complete product. He may not be athletic, he may not be God gifted with physical ability, but he knows how to execute and perform. And whether he was in a really good offense with a lot of good offensive playmakers or not, he still executed. But that same problem there with Jones is that he executed with first round talent all over the place. Jalen Waddell, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris, half of the offensive line is all first rounders. So you look at that, and that concern to me is outside of the DUIs, which I think is a huge problem. Mac Jones really got to execute in an offensive system that for college quarterbacks is very friendly. And you add on top of all the receivers and all the playmakers that he had, of course, Mac Jones better look good. Quite frankly, I've seen a lot of people say the next quarterback, who I believe is Brian Young, is even better than Mac Jones. So you look at that, and it's like, well, Alabama might be the quarterback university, but there's a lot of things that just absolutely cater to the quarterback for the better. And then I do agree that Trey Lance may have the least questions around him, at least in terms of just actually, no, I lied. I'm sorry, Antonio. I lied. That's wrong. I think Trey Lance has a lot of questions also. I think you look at the accuracy. I think you look at that and you look at the mechanical issues that go on with it. And I think I've seen a lot of people just really say, well, what if Trey Lance takes that big step up like Josh Allen did? The thing about Josh Allen is that Josh Allen, in the history of football, we have never seen a quarterback take that big of a leap to go from 50% to 60% to 68, 69%. And that is just, those are absolutely unreal numbers to say the least. So to say that Trey Lance couldn't do that, no, Trey Lance could absolutely do that. It's just, you can't really assume that's going to happen. If Trey Lance grows out of his 60% accuracy or whatever it is and grows into 65 or 70, I think that's more than acceptable. It's just a matter of, can Trey Lance hit the big throws when they need to be done? And I think that's what Kyle Shanahan is looking for, aside from all the other really cool stuff, like the pro style, like the intelligence, things like that. I think Kyle Shanahan really, all he wants is a quarterback that can hit a throw 20 yards downfield. Lance can do that. Fields can do that. Unfortunately, Jones can do that, but I don't think Jones is the answer. So Kyle Shanahan should just be looking to expand his offense and expand his playbook. And that's what all these quarterbacks really offer. So, yeah, Trey Lance does have a somewhat decent amount of questions around him, but I don't think those questions anywhere near amount to what Mac Jones has going on. Mac Jones is just, they got to stay away from Jones. I cannot picture the fan base's reaction if the pick is Mac Jones. I really don't want that to be the case. Let's see. JC, I really think that Shanahan lost those 2 Super Bowls because he needs a quarterback that can make plays out of the pocket. Yeah, JC, I don't quite remember the Falcons' Super Bowl off the top of my head, other than that Matt Ryan wasn't executing throws. I think Shanahan simplified his offense too much in the second half, and I think he just got a little too reliant on the defense. And that's just what happens when you take your foot off the gas. You hit the brakes or you slow down, and next thing you know, you're losing 28-31 or whatever it was. Whatever they lost the Super Bowl by. San Antonio. Niners re-signed Trent Williams and all their important free agents besides Sherman only to draft Jones. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, Jones is one of those quarterbacks where I think it's just like Jimmy Garoppolo, where it's like he needs a lot of good things around him to succeed. If you were to put Mac Jones in North Dakota's offense, or I honestly think if you put Mac Jones in Ohio State's offense, I don't think he executes the same way at all. Ohio State is still a really good offense, so I'm sure Jones would do well, but he wouldn't do Alabama well. And that's all you need to know about what Jones needs to succeed. And I fully understand that the 49ers roster is Super Bowl ready now. The pieces are already there for Jones, but you still need that quarterback to take him to the next level. And I don't think Jones has that in him at all. And the off-field stuff, too. I don't like the off-field stuff at all. That's scary. No DUIs. None of that. No Reuben Foster getting screwed by Alabama stuff. That happened years ago, and I don't want the team to have to deal with that once again. No, thank you. Sanjo, Lance is our QB. Yeah, Sanjo, I agree. Lance is my QB, but I won't go off and say that if it's Justin Fields, I'm pissed. If it's Justin Fields, he's like my 1B. So Lance is 1A. I think Justin Fields is an absolute badass. I think I honestly think Fields is the second best quarterback prospect out of my rankings. I'm not really a big fan of Lawrence, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just Lawrence, to me, while he has all the traits and tangible ability, he kind of gives me that Mac Jones vibe in the sense where it's like he had so much talent around him to succeed. He had the coaching staff, he had the weapons, he had everything. And it just looks a lot better compared to Fields and Trey Lance in the sense of who he has on paper. But you take that away, you look at their overall ability. Justin Fields takes the cake, Trey Lance takes the cake. Might sound a little biased here, but hey, Sanjo, Lance or Fields, that's my guy. Thomas, I agree with all your points. Now he depressed. Now, well, I'm assuming it says I'll be depressed, or we'll all be depressed if it does end up being Mac Jones. I'll be calling in sick to work on Friday if it's Mac. Thomas, I think I might just drop out of school for the rest of the semester if Mac Jones is the pick. I don't know, man. I really can't see it being Mac Jones. And I think a lot of people have really bought into the media speculation that I talked about earlier. And that's okay. If you want to believe the media, be my guest. But the thing is that we know the history of the 49ers not leaking any type of information, and I think they've been really good at that. And then you also look at what they talked about in the presser recently, and Kyle Shanahan's big thing where he says in the beginning, he says, I want. That was the key thing in the beginning of that presser that I really liked about that was I want. Kyle Shanahan was like, I want. Then he reverbed really fast. It's like, we want. Like you heard the I want, and then you heard the quick little hesitation. It's like a we want. He dropped that in really fast. But back to that quote, he said he wants a Drew Brees that can move like Lamar Jackson. I think that's Trey Lance. I also think that's Justin Fields. That really just opens the door for, you know what, it could be one of these two guys, and that's okay. But yeah, man, if it's Mac, you probably won't be hearing from me for a little while. Sanjo, Lance's issues are fixable mechanics with accuracy and footwork. Fields' issues are more serious in my decision. Bad pocket presence and panics under pressure and makes bad decisions. That is the thing that kind of turns me off about Justin Fields is that he had one of the highest sack rates in college football. And a lot of people will credit the offensive line for that. I get it. His OL was pretty bad for the most part. But I think there was a lot of really questionable decision making on Justin Fields' part where it's like, why'd you make that throw? Or why'd you carry the ball? Or what happened there? You know what I mean? It's like Justin Fields has those decisions where it's like, I think when that first read isn't there sometimes, I think he just overthinks the entire process and tries to do it all himself. Whereas you look at Trey Lance's issues, like you said, are fixable mechanics. I've never really seen Trey Lance. I mean, obviously he only has one career interception, but you look at most of the throws he makes and it's like they aren't bad throws in the sense like Garoppolo throws it right to a safety or right to a linebacker. That's not the case with Lance. The case with Lance is, like you said, it's fixable mechanics where maybe he opens up his shoulder too much, so he's opening up his throws and releasing a little too early, so it's too high or too low, or maybe he's coming across his body a bit too much. Maybe he's too tall in the pocket. Maybe he's not more fluid. It's things like that where Kyle Shanahan's history with quarterbacks, his history in the quarterback collective, and you know that he can work with Trey Lance and get these things fixed and improved. Whereas you looked at Jimmy Garoppolo and it was like Jimmy Garoppolo had all these crappy lower body mechanics where I think Garoppolo was just too damn lazy sometimes when it came to throwing the ball. And that's not the case with Lance. That's not the case with Fields either. I think both of those guys can be worked on for the most part. But to say Fields' issues are more serious, man, it's a little bit of a stretch, but I definitely get where you're coming from. I do agree in the sense that bad pocket presence and he does panic under pressure, makes bad decisions. I think those are things that Justin Fields deals with, but more often than not, Fields gets the job done and he executes at a very high level. And again, I think that's just what the team is looking for. Tonio, which team does Jimmy G get traded to if the Patriots draft a quarterback? I was thinking about this a lot, and I jokingly said in our group chat, like, what if Jimmy Garoppolo went to Chicago even after signing Andy Dalton? And they got a couple laughs. But, hey, you never know. You know what I mean? I really think you don't know. I'm pretty sure Andy Dalton's contract is very team-friendly to where the Bears could get out of it if they want. And if that's the case, then I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. It would sure make sense for a Chicago reunion, that's for sure. But any other team that I think Garoppolo could go to off the top of my head, Chicago, Washington, the Saints, maybe. I know that's kind of a out of the sky pick, but I don't know. Maybe Sean Payton doesn't believe in Taysom Hill. I know they gave him that big contract, but they still need a quarterback. Quarterback. Could that be Jameis Winston? We don't know. So it could be Garoppolo. You never know. I really didn't think that the Broncos. I really thought that the Broncos were going to go for a drafted quarterback rather than going after Teddy B. And you look at that's the case. I think the Broncos did that because one, they may have not have been willing to trade up for a quarterback. Maybe they were hoping the board was going to fall a certain way. And two, that also tells me that I think Trey Lance and Justin Fields will both be gone within the top 5 or 6 picks. So I don't know if Denver just didn't want to take that risk. I don't know if they just thought Teddy B was the safer option for the Broncos, for Vic Fangio. Because I like Drew Lock. I think he has some issues that need to be worked on, but Lock's not bad. He's a really willing thrower. He's just the decision making is pretty bad. Whereas Teddy B, it's like the decision making is the complete opposite of Drew Lock. The problem with Bridgewater though is that he's not really a willing thrower. So that move was bound to happen, but it's a little surprising how it happened so fast, to say the least. So that's kind of my picks, Antonio. I really think Jimmy G could go to Washington. Chicago Saints is like my dark horse candidate for whatever reason, but I don't know, man. I don't know if the Patriots are going to go after Mac Jones. If that's the case, then they'll probably trade within the top 10 to get him. That's just reality. But if they don't want Jones, I think it'll be Jimmy Garoppolo. So I I don't wish this upon any player, any team, but if you just look at it from a business perspective, it makes sense to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. I do hope that Jimmy Garoppolo ends up in the best situation, but I think you look at the team now, Jimmy Garoppolo starting next season would be nice, but these rookies are coming in balling and ready to go, man. It's got to be one of the rookies, whether that's Fields or Lance, and hopefully not Jones. JC, and also Justin Fields was playing against a lot better competition. Yeah, man. So that's the thing that kind of pushes me to Fields over Lance in that sense, is that Fields was playing some of the best competition in all of CFB. And then you look at what he did against Clemson with broken ribs and, I mean, everything else he suffered. And Fields has the toughness. He has that mental and physical toughness a part of him that I think the team should absolutely be looking for. But a lot of it also, man, is that I think Justin Fields, this is something I haven't seen a lot of people talk about too much, but I feel like people don't really see how Trey Lance and Justin Fields put themselves in high risk situations. Where you look at Justin Fields, where he has the athletic ability, but Ohio State's offense didn't really ask him to be a power runner and create, or not create, but really just run the ball. That was a design play, unlike Trey Lance. So you look at Justin Fields, where I really think Justin Fields is more willing to sacrifice his body to make a play. Whereas with Trey Lance, Trey Lance will do the same thing on designed runs. But the difference is that I don't think Trey Lance really has that, like, I don't know. It's really hard for me to try and explain it. But I think like Justin Fields is just so much more fluid in terms of just wanting to go. Like that's the thing with Justin Fields, is that I think there was another chart I saw where I think on scramble plays, or not even scramble plays. Yeah, maybe it was scrambles. I think Justin Fields had the highest odds or the highest percentage of just going. Whereas Trey Lance, when his plays were not designed runs, when they were actually drop back passes, Lance actually didn't run as much as Fields. So that's the thing where it separates the two, is that I think Fields was just more willing to go when nothing is there. And that's the problem with Fields, is that, or not the problems with Fields, it's the problem with Ohio, is that if there's nothing there on the offense, even if Fields goes through all of his reads, he's going to take off and go. But that's the negative of that offense, is that Justin Fields was so reliant on that first read, is that if that wasn't there and he didn't get to a second read, which I think Ben Solak ironically said, I think his second read only happened like 50 or 60 times or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers. But the willingness for Fields to just go and run makes him a high-risk runner. Whereas at least Lance is running by design. And if he doesn't run, I feel like I think Lance is really intelligent when it comes about knowing to run, whether something is there or not. Because there was a lot of film I saw of Trey Lance running where the hole was just open in the middle of the field, and Lance just absolutely took off. Whereas Justin Fields' scrambles, I think, were more because nothing was there, and he just was inclined to go and run. So I think that's the difference between those two. But for the competition, man, yeah, Justin Fields took the cake in terms of competition. But I don't know. I don't really look at competition as too big of a factor. I look at more of just executing and getting the job done. That's what matters to me, and how that can translate. Both Dakota State's quarterbacks have been able to translate, most notably Carson Wentz, and I think Easton Stick as well. He's another one where those guys just they came into the league, and I know Easton Stick hasn't really played, but he was really sought after and has been spoken highly of. You look at those guys and you see that, you know what, they came out and they were able to execute. And I know Carson Wentz has injury problems, but Carson Wentz was still able to execute and get the job done when it needed to be done. Except for this past season. It was really bad for Carson, to say the least. Antonio, what are the chances of Niners trade down from 3? I think that was something that was like a little phase amongst 49ers fans, Antonio. I saw a lot of people talking like that, like, well, what if the Niners just moved down from 3-4 or 3-6, or I mean not 6, but like maybe 3-7 or something like that. Who knows? I saw that and it was like, I mean, if they want to get like a third round pick, and the thing about that is like if they traded down with Atlanta and they could, I mean, no matter what, they're guaranteed Fields or Lance. So if they were to do that, I think, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Maybe they want to recuperate a third round pick or a fourth round pick in that sense. But it just philosophically, it wouldn't make sense. It really just wouldn't make sense. I don't think you move up from 12 to 3, you move all this capital just to say, you know what, let's take the chance. We want our guy. Because that's the thing is that if the 49ers are both equally high on Lance and Fields and they feel they can get one of them at 4, then that is what it is. But if they think that Fields is higher on their board than Lance, or Lance is higher on their board, and they take the chance that they move back one spot to get that guy and they don't get that guy, that just, I don't know why you want to take the chance that you're going to lose out on your quarterback 1 or whoever you're highest on. And maybe the second guy is still really good also, whether that's Lance or Fields. But philosophically, again, I just don't see how you can really go about making that kind of move. So it's a big toss-up. I've seen that talked about, though, Antonio. I've seen that talked about. I've put some thought into it. And if they believe that Lance or Fields is their 1A and 1B and they can get him at 4 and get a pick, who cares? I don't think that matters that much. But if they have one guy truly higher than the other, I don't think that move makes as much sense. I don't think the Niners should be messing around with that stuff. Getting another draft pick would be nice, but the Niners just need to go and get their guy. That's it. No BSing, no screwing around. Just go and get their guy and get the job done, and that's it. And then you look at the rest of the draft class before I kind of close out, because I already passed half an hour just ranting. I really appreciate all you guys being here. I've really appreciated all the comments. We'll be talking all things 49ers tomorrow. We'll be doing a live draft show. It'll be me, Matt, Zach, Christian, Brandon, Stuart, Scott. I think Stefan will be there. Really, the whole 49ers Hive crew is going to be there tomorrow, so that's really exciting. But man, I don't think they should mess around with that stuff, Antonio. Yeah, JC, of course. I appreciate you too. And look, it's like, feel free in the comments. I know the show's almost over, but feel free in the comments to just let me know. Like, if you disagree with my opinions, be my guest. Tell me why it's wrong. I love all the feedback. I love being able to interact and talk with you guys. That's really the most fun part of being in a live show, is that I just get to interact with you guys, to say the least. Kim, ain't Mac. No way. It ain't Mac in no way. Yeah, Kim, it better not be Mac. I swear if it's Mac, it'll be the end of the world. I legitimately think 49ers will absolutely, or the 49ers fans will absolutely break Twitter. Whatever happens will be all kinds of trends, all kinds of reactions, and you'll get a lot of I told you so's from the media. You'll get a lot of, see, Kyle Shanahan has a type, this is it. And I think from there, I think if Mac Jones is the pick, you guys, I really think the clock is ticking on Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And that's not to say that wouldn't be the case with Trey Lance and Justin Fields as well. But Jesus, you guys, you look at them in terms of prospects, not to knock Mac, but you look at them, you look at their ceilings, you look at their floors. Mac Jones really just doesn't compare to those guys, man. He really just doesn't compare to Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson too. So it's like, just, yeah, Gene, no Mac Jones. I'm not a Mac Jones fans at all. But guys, I'm going to close out right now. Just going on record now, so y'all know when you hear about it from me later today and tomorrow, Trey Lance is my guy. I've been with him since day one. John Chapman and a couple other guys have been with them since day one as well. Trey Lance to the end. If it's not him, just Justin Fields. That's all I ask, is Justin Fields. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this live show. Follow me on Twitter at Anthony RM Perry. You guys can tweet at me. You guys can message me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. And just talk 49ers football. I love interacting with all of you guys. And it's the big day tomorrow, you guys. The NFL draft is finally here. The NFL draft is finally here, you guys. It's about time. And I'm It's just exciting. I can't wait to be a part of the whole thing. JC, yeah, you remember me? That was years ago. That's where I got my feet wet with nothing but Niners and all those guys. But Thomas, everyone, thank you for being the show. Emma, I know, good to have you back. Thanks. I know it's good to be back as well. Guys, smash the like button on YouTube, on Periscope. I don't know how Periscope works, to be honest. Smash the like button on YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitter at 49ers Hive. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at 49ers Hive as well. Drop the like button. Let me know in the comments in the video what you guys think the pick is going to be. Let me know what other picks you guys think the team is going to pick as well. Let me know who else you guys think the team is going to go with. And guys, thank you so much for following along. I look forward to seeing you guys on the live show tomorrow. I'm not too sure what time we're going to get it started. I think the draft is at 5:30, 6 o'clock. So probably 5:30, 5 o'clock, the live show will be getting kicked off. So guys, be there. It'll be a really exciting show. Everyone will be there to talk all things Niners and all things draft as you guys get our reactions to the show. And as always, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next week at about 1 or 1:30 p.m. to talk all things Niners, draft reactions, everything, the whole boatload. So guys, thank you so much. Have a great afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are from. Much love to you all, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Go Niners.